Breathe, Nena, breathe. You can do this. Chineke me. Mama, what is it? Please tell me. They are coming.
Bring out the child. The gods have spoken. This child must die. She must die before the sun rises.
Please, spare her life. Eze, I beg you. Just for one night of mercy. Go well, Nena. Chukwu gozie gị. Daalụ, Mama. Nena, please wake up.
It was so hard, but she is finally here.
She is a beautiful blessing. Nena, listen to me. No one must ever see the birthmark.
17 years passed. Amara grew into a cheerful young woman, known throughout Amazing for her bright laughter, hardworking spirit, and songs that often echoed through the village while she walked alongside the other girls. Yet one mystery followed her everywhere. She always wore her wrapper high across her left shoulder. She never entered the river. She avoided every question about it. Only Nena and Ijoma understood why, and both prayed that the secret buried 17 years earlier would remain hidden forever. They had no idea that the day was fast approaching, when the past would finally come looking for the girl born with the forbidden mark.
Although Amara had grown into one of the most admired young women in Amaze, there was one burden she could never escape. Questions. Questions about why she always kept her left shoulder covered. Questions about why her mother forbade her from joining the other girls at the river. Questions that had followed her since childhood but were always answered with the same painful silence. One warm evening, after returning from the farms, Amara could no longer keep her frustration hidden. Her mother was pounding yam inside the kitchen hut when Amara walked in with folded arms. "Mama," she began, struggling to remain calm. "Why am I different from everyone else?" Nena stopped working but kept her eyes on the mortar. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean." Amara stepped closer. "Every girl my age swims in the river whenever they want. They laugh together. They wash together. They enjoy themselves." She pointed toward her shoulder. "But you have spent my entire life telling me to keep this side of my body covered." Her voice cracked with emotion. "You won't even tell me why." Nena sighed deeply. "It is for your own good." "That answer again." Amara shook her head. "I am 17 years old. How much longer must I wait before I deserve the truth?" The older woman slowly turned toward her daughter. "There are things about your life that this world is not ready to understand." Amara frowned. "And what about me? When will I be ready to understand them?" Nena stepped forward and gently held her daughter's shoulders. "There is nothing wrong with you. I promise. When the right time comes, I will explain everything." Amara slowly pulled away. "You always say that." Tears filled her eyes before she turned and hurried out of the hut. She wandered through the village until she reached the quiet riverbank where Kelechi often spent his evenings carving small wooden animals. Without looking up from his work, he smiled. "You look like someone preparing to declare war." Amara forced a weak laugh before sitting beside him. "My mother is impossible. What happened this time? I asked her the same questions I have asked since I was a child. And nothing. The same promises. The same secrets. The same, not yet." She picked up a small stone and tossed it into the river. I feel like everyone else knows who they are except me. Kelechi laid down his carving knife. My grandmother always says that every family hides something. Some secrets stay buried for generations. Amara looked at him. That doesn't make me feel any better. He smiled softly. It wasn't supposed to. It was meant to remind you that whatever your family's secret is, it won't change the person you've become. She stared quietly at the flowing water. Sometimes I have the same dream. What kind of dream? I'm running. It's raining. Everything feels like it's on fire. I hear a man's voice. I never understand what he's saying, but every time I hear it. She paused. I wake up terrified. Kelechi frowned thoughtfully. Perhaps it is simply a nightmare. Amara slowly shook her head. No. It feels real. So real that sometimes I wonder if I've lived it before. Neither of them realized she wasn't remembering a dream. She was remembering the night she was born. While life continued peacefully in a maze, disaster slowly tightened its grip around Yumura. The rain stopped. Streams that had flowed for generations became narrow channels of muddy water. Farmlands cracked beneath the burning sun. Harvests failed. Animals collapsed without warning. Soon, strange illnesses spread throughout the village, claiming lives that no herbalist could save. Fear settled over the people like a heavy cloud. The villagers gathered before the ancient shrine, desperate for answers. Standing before them, older now but no less commanding, was Izaganwa. Leaning upon his carved staff, the chief priest surveyed the frightened crowd before raising one hand for silence. Our suffering did not begin by chance, he declared. It began 17 years ago. The crowd listened in complete silence. A child was born carrying the forbidden mark. The ritual demanded by our ancestors was never completed. That child escaped. And because of that failure, he raised his staff toward the dry sky. Our land now suffers the consequences. Murmurs spread throughout the gathering. One elder stepped forward. But that girl could be anywhere. How do we find someone who disappeared so many years ago? A faint smile appeared on the priest's face. A mark such as hers cannot remain hidden forever. We will send messengers to every surrounding village. Anyone who brings information about the girl will be richly rewarded. The people nodded. None of them questioned him. None imagined that the man standing before them already knew far more than he claimed. Within days, word began spreading across neighboring communities. Stories changed with every retelling. Some claimed the girl was possessed. Others insisted she brought death wherever she walked. Others believed she was no longer even human. Meanwhile, Amara remained completely unaware that strangers were beginning to search for her. The dry season continued. One afternoon, children gathered at the deepest bend of the river to escape the unbearable heat. As always, Amara remained on the shore, weaving a basket while watching the others laugh in the water. Although she longed to join them, years of obedience kept her where she was. Then everything changed. Little Adays slipped on the wet rocks. Before anyone could react, the rushing current pulled the 6-year-old into the deeper water. Children screamed. Adults froze. The river carried the frightened girl farther away every second. Without stopping to think, Amara dropped her basket. She sprinted toward the river. Someone shouted after her. But she never looked back. She plunged into the water. The current fought against her, pulling both girls downstream. Amara kicked harder. She reached Adays just before the frightened child disappeared beneath the surface. Holding the little girl tightly against her chest, she forced herself toward the riverbank. Several agonizing moments later, she collapsed onto the shore with Adays safely in her arms. The child coughed violently before bursting into tears. She was alive. Cheers erupted across the riverbank. Mothers rushed forward to embrace their children. The villagers surrounded Amara with gratitude and amazement. No one could believe that the girl who had never once entered the river had become its bravest swimmer. Then, without warning, everything went silent. During the rescue, Amara's soaked wrapper had slipped from her shoulder. The strange serpent-shaped birthmark lay completely exposed beneath the afternoon sunlight. One woman gasped. Another grabbed her child and hurried backward. An elderly villager made a protective sign before spitting into the dust. The forbidden mark. The words barely rose above a whisper. It is real. It has returned. Amara quickly covered her shoulder again. Confusion filled her face. What is wrong with all of you? I only saved Adays. No one answered. Instead, they continued retreating from her. The gratitude that had filled the riverbank moments earlier vanished, replaced by fear. By sunset, nearly everyone in Amaze had heard the story. By sunrise, travelers had already carried the news beyond the village. At a distant trading post, a mysterious stranger paid generously for information about a young woman bearing a serpent-shaped mark on her shoulder. Before the day ended, horses were already carrying that news toward Yumura. The moment Amara entered her compound, Nena knew something terrible had happened. She saw the tears, the anger, the confusion, and she realized the secret she had protected for 17 years had finally escaped. Mama! Amara's voice trembled. What is this mark? Why has everyone been looking at me as though I am some kind of monster? Nena closed her eyes. For years she had prayed this day would never come. But there was no hiding anymore. She slowly reached for her daughter's hand. Come inside. It is time you learned the truth. For hours she told Amara everything. The storm. The night of her birth. The terrifying arrival of Izaganwa. The death sentence pronounced over a newborn child. The desperate escape through the forest. Mama Chidinma's sacrifice. Igioma's kindness. Every lie. Every fear. Every secret she had carried alone for 17 years. When the story ended, Amara sat speechless. So there are people. She swallowed hard. Who have wanted me dead since the day I was born? Nena nodded through tears. Yes. You let me grow up believing I was simply strange. I thought I was the problem. I was trying to save your life. But you never trusted me with the truth. Before Nena could answer, the door burst open. Igioma rushed inside, struggling to catch her breath. They're coming. Both women stood immediately. Who? Riders. They've been asking every village about a girl with a serpent mark. They'll be here soon. Nena grabbed a small travel bag. We leave now. But Amara remained where she stood. She looked from her mother to Igioma. Then she shook her head. No. I have spent my whole life running without knowing why. I'm done. If there is a truth beyond the priest's story, I want to find it. Igioma exchanged a long glance with Nena. Then, after a deep breath, she spoke. There is one person who may still know the real history. An old woman. Dibia Nuakego. If anyone can tell you what that mark truly means, it is her. Amara's eyes filled with determination. Then that is where we are going. Tonight. The village had barely disappeared behind them when the forest swallowed the last traces of civilization. Under the cover of darkness, Amara walked at the front of the narrow path, carrying only a small shoulder bag. Beside her, Nena struggled to keep pace, while Igioma led them toward a place few people dared to visit. No one spoke for a long time. The only sounds came from insects hidden among the trees and the steady crunch of dry leaves beneath their feet. Finally, Amara broke the silence. Who is this woman we're looking for? Igioma tightened her grip on the lantern. Her name is Dibia Nuakego. She is older than anyone alive in Yumura. They say she remembers stories that even the elders have forgotten. And you believe she knows the truth? Igioma nodded. If anyone does, it is her. By sunrise, the three travelers reached the heart of the ancient forest. Massive Iroko trees stretched toward the sky, their enormous roots twisting across the earth like giant serpents. Hidden among them stood a small compound unlike any ordinary home. Clay pots lined the entrance. Bundles of medicinal herbs hung from wooden poles. Ancient carvings covered the walls. Smoke from burning incense drifted gently through the morning air. Before they could announce themselves, an elderly voice spoke from inside. I've been expecting you. Amara exchanged a surprised glance with her mother. An old woman slowly stepped into view. Her gray braided hair rested beneath strings of cowrie shells. White traditional robes flowed around her thin frame. Although age had bent her body, her eyes remained sharp and filled with wisdom. You carry the mark. It was not a question. Amara slowly nodded. Dibia Nuakego gestured toward a woven mat. Come. There is much you need to hear. Inside the shrine, silence settled between them. The old priestess gently uncovered Amara's left shoulder. She studied the serpent-shaped mark carefully. Instead of fear, she smiled. So, the prophecy has finally come to pass. Amara frowned. Everyone says this mark is cursed. Dibia looked directly into her eyes. Then everyone has been living a lie. The room became perfectly still. What do you mean? The old woman reached for a carved wooden box resting beside her. Inside lay several faded scrolls and ancient symbols preserved through generations. She carefully unfolded one brittle piece of parchment. Long before your grandparents were born. This mark was never feared. It was honored. She pointed toward an old illustration showing a young girl standing beside a glowing river. The serpent was the sacred sign of Idemili, the protector of the waters, the guardian of truth. Every generation, she chose one child to restore balance whenever greed and corruption poisoned the land. Amara stared at the drawing. It looks just like mine. Because it is. Nena leaned forward. But if that is true, why did Izaganwa call it forbidden? Divya's expression darkened. Because truth became dangerous. She closed the scroll. 70 years ago, the ancestors of Izaganwa made a choice. They wanted power. They feared that anyone chosen by Idemili could expose their corruption. So they erased the old stories. They destroyed sacred records. They convinced the people that the mark had become a curse. Generation after generation, the lie became history. Amara struggled to process everything she had heard. So, my entire life, I've been hunted. Because of a lie. Divya slowly nodded. Not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. The old priestess stood and walked toward the entrance of the shrine. She looked toward the distant direction of Umura. The drought is no accident. It is not punishment from the gods. It is the result of broken promises. She turned back toward Amara. Your village abandoned truth. And truth has now abandoned them. Amara lowered her eyes. What am I supposed to do? You must return. Nena immediately stepped forward. No. They will kill her. They tried once before. They'll do it again. Divya shook her head calmly. They cannot stop what destiny has already begun. She placed both hands upon Amara's shoulders. You were never born to hide. You were born to reveal. Those words echoed inside Amara's heart long after they left the shrine. The fear that had controlled her since childhood slowly gave way to something stronger. Purpose. For the first time in her life, she no longer hated the mark. She touched it gently. Instead of shame, she felt peace. I want to go back. Nena looked at her in disbelief. Amara, if we return, you may never leave alive. Amara smiled softly. If I keep running, none of us will ever truly live. Their journey back toward Umura had barely begun when danger found them. Several armed shrine guards stepped out from behind the trees, blocking the narrow forest path. Each carried a spear. White ritual chalk covered their faces. One stepped forward. The chief priest requests the girl. Amara moved in front of her mother. I won't go. The guard tightened his grip on his weapon. You have no choice. Before either side could act, Divya Nuakego appeared from behind them. Her voice rang through the forest with unexpected authority. Lower your weapons. The guards hesitated. Even they recognized the old priestess. She walked calmly between both sides. If your master truly believes the girl is cursed, let him prove it before the people. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. Finally, their leader nodded. You will all return to Umura. The chief priest will decide your fate. By sunset, the entire village had gathered beside the sacred river. Hundreds of anxious faces watched in silence. Children clung to their parents. Elders whispered prayers beneath their breath. At the front stood Izaganwa. His expression remained calm. Almost too calm. He looked at Amara. So, the cursed child returns. Amara met his gaze without fear. No. I came for the truth. A faint smile crossed the priest's face. Then let the gods decide. He pointed toward the sacred river. If your mark truly comes from Idemili, step into her waters. If you survive, the village will know I was wrong. If not, your death will finally end this curse. Without another word, Amara removed her sandals. She walked toward the water. The villagers held their breath. Even Nena could barely stand. Amara took one final look at the people who had feared her since birth. Then, she stepped into the sacred river. The moment Amara's feet touched the sacred river, an uneasy silence settled over Umura. No one dared to breathe. The villagers stood frozen along the riverbank, their eyes fixed on the young woman who had been condemned since the day she was born. Izaganwa tightened his grip on his carved staff. He expected the river to reject her. He expected fear to prove him right. Instead, the water remained perfectly still. For several long moments, nothing happened. Then gentle ripples spread outward from Amara's feet. The river began to glow. A faint blue light shimmered beneath the surface, growing brighter with every passing second. The villagers exchanged frightened glances. Some instinctively stepped backward. Others fell to their knees. The glow spread across the entire river until it resembled flowing liquid crystal. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept through the valley. Palm trees bent beneath its force. Dark storm clouds gathered overhead. Thunder echoed across the hills.
Yet not a single drop of rain fell.
Amara remained standing in the middle of the river. She felt warmth instead of fear. The serpent-shaped mark on her shoulder began to shine with the same blue-golden light rising from the water. She closed her eyes. A calm voice filled her heart. "You have returned." The light intensified. The river rose without overflowing its banks, forming a magnificent pillar of water before the astonished villagers. Within the glowing water appeared the radiant figure of a woman. She was clothed in flowing garments that shimmered like the river itself. Her long dark hair moved as though carried by invisible currents. Her eyes reflected both compassion and unimaginable power. No one needed to ask who she was. Every elder recognized the ancient presence. Idemili, the guardian of the waters. The protector of truth. Fear swept through the crowd. Many villagers threw themselves to the ground. Even the oldest chiefs lowered their heads in reverence. Only Izaganwa remained standing. Although his face remained stern, uncertainty slowly crept into his eyes. The goddess spoke. Her voice flowed like rushing water, filling every corner of the valley. For generations, truth has been buried beneath fear. She looked upon the villagers with sorrow. You condemned an innocent child. You called sacred what was cursed. And cursed what was sacred. The people trembled.
Then her gaze settled upon Izaganwa.
You knew the truth. You chose power instead. The chief priest immediately fell to his knees. My lady, I only protected the traditions of our ancestors. The river surged violently. Do not hide behind your ancestors. It was your bloodline that betrayed them. Before the eyes of the entire village, glowing images appeared above the water. The villagers watched ancient memories unfold. They saw generations past.
They saw Izaganwa's forefathers secretly destroying sacred scrolls.
They saw ancient priests replacing the true prophecy with lies. They saw innocent families forced into silence. The truth, hidden for decades, was now revealed before everyone. Gasps echoed across the riverbank. Several elders covered their faces in shame. Others stared at Izaganwa with disbelief. The chief priest lowered his head. There was no defense left. The goddess turned toward Amara. You have carried rejection without hatred. You have endured fear without becoming cruel. You chose compassion even toward those who feared you. Her expression softened. That is why you were chosen. The glowing light surrounding Amara became brighter. The mark on her shoulder no longer resembled a symbol of shame. It radiated like a sign of hope. Idemili stretched out her hand. The river responded.
Blue light spread through every stream flowing toward Umura.
The cracked earth began to soften. Dry grasses turned green. Flowers bloomed where nothing had grown for months. The air changed. Cool winds swept across the land. For the first time in many seasons, rain began to fall. Not as a storm, but as a gentle blessing. The villagers lifted their faces toward the sky. Some laughed. Others wept openly. Children danced beneath the falling rain. Farmers embraced one another with renewed hope. The drought had ended. Slowly, the goddess, radiant form began fading back into the river. Before disappearing completely, she spoke one final time. Never judge a soul by fear. Seek truth before tradition. And remember, the greatest darkness is the lie that people choose to protect. With those words, the light vanished. The river returned to its peaceful flow. Silence remained. No one moved. Finally, one of the village elders walked toward Amara. He bowed respectfully. Forgive us. One by one, the others followed. Men, women, children. Even those who had once feared her now lowered their heads. Nena rushed forward and embraced her daughter through tears of joy. I should have told you sooner. Amara smiled gently. You were only trying to protect me.
Nearby, Ijeoma watched quietly.
A proud smile spread across her face. The years of hiding. The years of fear. They were finally over.
Izeganwa remained kneeling where he had fallen.
The authority he had built upon deception had disappeared in a single afternoon. No one looked to him for guidance anymore. The village had witnessed the truth with their own eyes. As the people slowly returned home beneath the refreshing rain, Amara stood once more beside the sacred river. This time, she did not hide her shoulder.
She did not cover the mark.
She wore it openly. Not as a curse,
but as a reminder.
Sometimes the very thing the world teaches us to fear
is the same thing chosen to save it.
And from that day forward, whenever children asked about the girl with the serpent mark, the elders no longer spoke of a curse. They told the story of the young woman who restored truth, ended the drought, and reminded an entire generation that fear can hide the truth,
but it can never destroy it.